Oh, Jesus.
And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to His purpose.
And this is a verse that everybody knows, and we keep hearing it, whether it's in our worship. Even just 5 minutes ago, you heard the pastor say it,
Hallelujah.
that all things work together for good to those that love and trust in God. One of the most frequently asked questions in a Christian's life is why. We constantly ask God, why is this happening to me? Or why is this in such a way? Or why is our life in such a condition? Or why are these things happening in this side of the world or that side of the world? But this verse is the answer to that. It says that all things work together for good to those that love and trust in God. So we should understand that no matter what happens in our life, no matter what path our life takes, that we should know that there is a purpose behind it. There is a higher purpose that God has behind it. Let's turn our attention to Luke chapter 18, verse 35.
Oh, hallelujah.
Then it happened, as he was nearing Jericho, that a certain blind man sat by the road begging, and heard a multitude passing by. He asked what it meant.
Okay. So here we see that Jesus was passing by Jericho, and we see that there was a blind man that was sitting there and begging. So we have to know and understand that even in today's world, if you're struck blind, there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. You have almost no hope once you're blind. So even at that time, the only hope that this man had for the rest of his life was to sit on the roadside and beg. So a situation in his life where all hope was lost, where he had met his dead end. We all know what a dead end is. You can't move forward. That is the ultimate stop. There are situations that happen in our life where we will meet a dead end, or we will feel like we have met a dead end. We will feel like all hope is lost. There is nothing good that can come out of the situation that I'm in. All the things that we see, all the options that he has, because he's blind, he does not have any options. All he has is to sit at the roadside and beg. But he didn't know that in verse 34, it came to pass that Jesus was walking towards Jericho. So in our life, we should know when we are placed in a situation like that, when we are placed in a situation where all hope is lost, where we cannot find a solution on our own, neither can the world find a solution for us. We should understand that Jesus is walking towards us. Just the way that Jesus was walking towards this man as he was sitting there on the roadside and as he was begging. In verse 36, he says, and hearing the multitude pass, he asked what it meant. So again, we see his willingness to know what is going on. Even in his situation, he has a willingness to search and find God. He did not sit there and say, I'm blind and I'm begging. I don't care what's happening. I don't care about the multitude moving back and forth. I don't care about people walking back and forth. He still had his heart to search and find God.
Amen.
Let's turn our attention to Jeremiah 29, verse 13. If someone could quickly read it.
Oh, glory, 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 glory.
Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, saying, send to all those in captivity, saying, thus says the Lord concerning Shemai the Nehemiah, because Shemai has prophesied to you, and I have not sent him, and he caused you to trust in a lie.
Is that Jeremiah 29, 13?
13.
1:3.
And you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart.
So here it says, you shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart. We have to understand the problems and the situations that we are going through. Do we search for God with all our heart? Or do we search a way out of our problems? God has placed us in situations where we might feel desperate so that we can search for God with all our heart.
Amen.
What does searching mean? We all do searching every day in our life. You know, I remember when I was in college that in order to write a paper, you had to cite sources. I'm sure you guys do that. And to find a credible source is it's one of the hardest things in the world. And you search, you go on Google, you type in the title of your paper, you type in edu, org, all that stuff, just to get a credible source. Do we spend that kind of searching when we are trying to find God? When we are in church, when we are spending time in prayer, wherever we are, God is available to us, but what we have to do is we have to search for Him. We have to seek His face with the whole heart. And this blind man here, we see that when he heard the multitude pass by, he did not sit there and he did not ignore it. He did not say that, oh, this is happening every day, this is happening every single day, so I'm not going to mind it. He asked, he had a heart to inquire what was going on. He was vigilant to the move of God in his life, to the move and the purpose of God in his life. And if you go back to Luke chapter 18, and we keep reading, verse 37, and they told him that Jesus of Nazareth passed by. And he cried, saying, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. It's verse 38. So again, we see what his prayer is in his current situation. He had the right kind of prayer. He did not cry out, Jesus, son of David, come over here and make me see. He did not cry out, Jesus, son of David, I am blind, please heal me right now. The first thing that he said, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. So in our life, our prayer, God puts us in a situation, in a hopeless condition, or a situation not only for God to come into our life, but it is also so that we can pray the right prayer. That we can finally start praying the right prayer. We can ask God for mercy. That we can stop asking for everything else. Lord, give me this, give me that. No. Let our prayers first be, O Son of David, have mercy on me. Amen. And when he said that, if you go to verse 39, and they which went before him rebuked him, that he should hold his peace. But he cried so much the more, Thou Son of David, have mercy on me. Again, we see that he is by himself in this situation. The people that were around him, they did not say that, okay, he's blind and Jesus is a healer, maybe we should help him out. They were trying to shush him. There were external factors in his life that were trying to almost shut him out or shut him in. In our life, we should know that there's going to be many factors during our prayer, during our Christian walk, external factors that will shut us in, or that will attempt to shut us in. But we see that in verse 39, he cried so much the more. We should not let any external factors in our life stop our prayer in any way. We should continue to pray stronger. The more the external factors are trying to tell us to be quiet, maybe it is something in the family, maybe something in your physical condition. Whatever happens, we have to know that if we want Christ to move in our lives, we should become stronger. We should cry out stronger. We shouldn't listen to anything else that comes against you from the Word of God or from anywhere else. We should become stronger as more opposition comes towards us. And we read here in verse 39 that when they rebuked him, that he should hold his peace, he cried so much the more. That means his prayer became even more louder. That's what we have to get to in our life. We have to understand that God puts us in a situation like this blind man where all hope is lost, to make us pray the right prayer. And at the same time, pray stronger. Pray more efficiently. And then in verse 40 we read that, and Jesus stood and commanded him to be brought unto him. And when he was come near, he asked him, saying, What wilt thou that I should do unto thee? And he said, Lord, that I may receive my sight. One more thing that we can notice here is that Jesus obviously sees that this man is blind. And yet Jesus can ask him, what do you want me to do for you? It's not the answer he's expecting. If I was in the place of the blind man, I would have said, what do you think that I want, God? But that's not what he said. He said, Lord, I want to see. In our life, many times, the answer that we receive from God, it might not be what we expect. But we have to continue to humble ourselves and to seek God and to seek His face. And in verse 42 and 43, it says, Jesus said unto him, Receive thy sight, thy faith has saved thee. And immediately he received his sight and followed him, glorifying God. And all the people, when they saw it, gave praise unto God. Two things Jesus says here, your faith has made you well. When we read that part, we should understand it's not just the faith that he showed that moment. It was the faith that he showed when he inquired, when he cried. Even when the people told him to be quiet, he said, he continued to cry. That was the faith that Jesus is talking about. He said, it has made you well. And finally, in verse 43, it says, and immediately he received his sight, followed him, glorifying God. And all the people, when they saw it, gave praise unto God. Everyone saw it and they glorified God. They did not glorify anything else. They didn't talk about the miracle. They didn't say, oh, it's so amazing that he's got his sight back. They glorified God. We have to understand that God puts us in a situation where all hope is lost. The end result is always going to be the glorifying of God. The end result is always going to be not just you glorifying God, but everyone around you seeing the glory of God in His life. So before I conclude, I just want to remind you that these conditions that God will place us in, each of us walk life differently. We all have different set of issues. My problems are not somebody else's problems. But if you are a blood-bought child of God, if you are called according to the purpose of God, these things happen so Christ can walk into your life. So Christ can pass by you. These things happen so that God can help you pray the right prayer. That God can see the persistence in your prayer, the persistence in you to search God. And finally, God can glorify God not only in you, but in front of the entire world, in front of everyone around you. May God bless us.
Amen.